One woman who has got a plan for those oil companies and their ginormous profits is Senator Elizabeth Warren, Democrat of Massachusetts. Senator, welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining me this evening. Let's start with Ukraine. The president has so far held firm against a no-fly zone, against directly supplying Polish jets to Ukraine, basically against risking World War III with Russia. Do you agree with him on all of that?
I do. And I think that you start in the right place by saying we need to give Joe Biden some real credit here. We need to give him credit for what he's done quietly and behind the scenes, and that is pull all of our allies together. Remember that just a few weeks ago, Vladimir Putin was sure that if he invaded Ukraine, that NATO was going to be in disarray, that we wouldn't all be able to hang together. And in fact, everyone has held together. And I put a big part of the credit for that with Joe Biden. The second thing is that Biden's trying something that is historic. And that is when there is a military invasion in a country like Ukraine, instead of saying our only option is to go to war, he's trying economic sanctions at a level they've never been tried before. And he's pulled all of the allies together and basically cut Russia off from the formal banking system, and perhaps as importantly, cut off the oligarchs from the formal banking system. He is really cranking down on the sanctions. And you notice other countries have come along with this, and companies within the United States, McDonald's has said, that's it, we're out. We're not even going to do business with Russia. That has a profound effect on the Russian economy and on Putin's war machine. So Biden is really on two fronts doing a good job here.
So I want to come back to the oligarchs and the sanctions in a moment, but just, I wonder, Senator, do you worry, as I do, that as more and more people in Ukraine tragically die, and if Kyiv falls in a particularly brutal way to Russian forces, there will understandably be an outcry here in the West, in the US, and more calls for the US to do something, to get more directly militarily involved with all the risks that entails. How worried are you about a scenario like that?
Look, it is important that we do what we can to support Ukraine, but there are limits in a world where we're dealing with an unstable dictator who has nuclear weapons. We are working together with the other nations of the world to try to find ways to hem him in, to push him back, but not to trigger a nuclear war. The consequences, what it is that Putin's got to be able to threaten the rest of the world with, are so enormous that it's important that we take measured steps. And it is one more reason that I am glad it is Joe Biden sitting in the White House right now. He's calm, he's in control, and he's keeping us together with our allies and not unnecessarily, rashly triggering a response from Putin that could devastate the entire world.
So you mentioned the comprehensive sanctions and the oligarchs. You yourself, Senator, have been crafting legislation to try and prevent Russian elites from using cryptocurrency to get around financial sanctions. It's a good idea, but given the Senate is the place where bills go to die these days, do you have Republican support for this? Do you think you can get it through in a bipartisan way and get it done fast?
Actually, we're talking with the Republicans about it. I've got good support right now on both sides. I am hopeful that in a time like this, in a moment of crisis, that we will give the Treasury Department the tools it needs, not just to do through the formal banking system, which they've already done, but to patch the hole in that bucket so that the oligarchs can't say, okay, I can't get to the formal banking system, but they turn around and go through the crypto system. By the way, same point with Russia itself. Remember, Putin may be looking to crypto in order to finance much of his war machine. 3/4 of all of the ransomware attacks money goes through Russia right now. And the idea that foreign countries use crypto to evade sanctions is not some theory. It's happening in practice. In fact, we've documented it. The Treasury Department has documented it. North Korea, Iran are using crypto to evade sanctions. So as we tighten around Russia, these economic sanctions, it's important that they not be able to escape through crypto.
So gas prices are up big time at the pump. It's become a major issue politically here in the US. The Biden administration is calling it Putin's price rise. The Republicans are saying it's Biden's price rise. But aren't we missing out the obvious culprits, the oil and gas companies that are making record profits and price gouging along the way? Why not do something about them?
Well, got a plan for that. Senator Whitehouse and I and others have introduced a windfall profits tax that says if you're out there price gouging, you're going to have to give up a big chunk of your ill-gotten gains. That's the best way I know to be able to push back against these oil companies. You know, this is a problem we've got, and that is that when something happens that may cause the cost of the supply to go up just a little, we're watching giant corporations, oil company, but also we're seeing it in food, for example, that companies swoop in and say, hey, while we have the opportunity, they go ahead and raise prices even more. That's why we're seeing not just that prices are going up, but that profit margins are going up and going up dramatically.
I find it bizarre, Senator, that our solution to avoid buying oil from one foreign autocracy that abuses human rights is to go and buy oil from another foreign autocracy that abuses human rights. Saudi Arabia just mass executed 81 people yesterday, the largest mass execution in modern times. And yet there are reports the Biden administration wants to go hat in hand to the Saudis for more oil. At what point do we focus on renewables at home and not more oil from abroad?
Well, you know, we have to remind ourselves, if we had focused more on renewables at home starting 15 years ago, Russia wouldn't have the power that it has today. So, okay, I don't have a time machine. We can't go backwards. But please let us use this moment to concentrate our focus on the need to get ourselves off a fossil fuel economy. This is the moment that we need to be investing and doubling down again on solar, on wind, on hydro, so that Russia does not have the power. And the same is true for other countries. We shouldn't put ourselves at risk for how it is that they get their money through a fossil fuel economy, and then how they use it to try to disrupt the worldwide economy. This is a moment we need to be saying, yep, this is why all of us need to go green. We need to make that investment as a nation now.
And Senator, if Americans are getting hit hard by oil prices, why not offer them some financial relief? Why not do what the president promised to do on the campaign trail, and instead of doing endless pauses on student loan repayment, just cancel $10,000 in student debt as he promised? And I know you want him to go further and cancel $50,000. Why isn't he doing it? Why is he breaking that pledge, which he has the power to enact via executive order? He doesn't need Joe Manchin's vote on this.
So today would be a great day to cancel student loan debt, Mr. President. Remember, 40% of the people who have student loan debt do not have a college diploma. They're people who did exactly what we asked them to do. They tried, but they had babies, they were working 3 jobs, their mom got sick. It didn't work out for them. And now they earn what a high school graduate earns, but they're trying to deal with college loan debt. Also remember what it's doing to the racial wealth gap. African Americans, Latinos borrow more money to go to school, more money while they're in school, and have a harder time paying it off. If the president canceled $50,000 of student loan debt, he could cancel the black-white wealth gap for those with student loan debt by 27 points. Think what that would do for racial equity in this country. And I'll just mention about women. 2 out of every $3 of student loan debt is owned by a woman. We struggle more to pay for college and have a harder time paying off the debts when we get out. Canceling $50,000 of student loan debt would help tens of millions of Americans, people whose only sin was to be born into a family that couldn't write a check for them to go to school, and who nonetheless got out there and tried to get an education. So I think this is the moment to do it. The president has the power. Yes. There's wind in his sails. Tens of millions of people want him to do it. So, Mr. President, now's a good time. Cancel $50,000 of student loan debt.
I hope President Biden and his team are watching. Senator Elizabeth Warren, thank you so much for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.